Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to episode 9 of my artist series. This week is my good buddy Dan Yule. He's the label owner of Fresh Farm Records, and he's an avid burner and DJ producer. And he just came off a gig yesterday in Sacramento, and looking forward to hearing his life story and what he has done in the community thus far and where he plans to go. So give me a minute and we'll get him in here. What's up, everybody, for joining? Landa, thank you. Dan, what's going on, bud?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, how's it going?
Good, good. Thanks for joining me.
Just,
Appreciate it. You all rested from your flight from Sac?
sort of, kind of. I mean, I jumped on. I had a nice nap last night, and then I got up this morning, and I went to the airport. I got there early because I like to be early and just hang out, do some paperwork in the in the airport. And we got on the plane, and we were like held up on the plane. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? They wouldn't leave the gate, and they're like, the lady's coming over. She's like, well, we need one of the workers. The maintenance people are coming, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And she's like, yeah, we got to bring band-aids to the plane. And I'm like, what the hell? And she's like, we already have band-aids. And I'm like, what is this? Do you guys have to like, the band-aids, like the expiration date came, and Southwest is switching them out on all the planes. And they started laughing. I actually needed a band-aid. So after they closed the doors, I was like, "Hey, can I get a band-aid?" And the stewardess just started laughing. So then when we landed the plane, we got stuck at the gate in Burbank, and they're like holding us back because the other plane hasn't left. And I looked at the stewardess, and I was like, "I think they need band-aids too." And so the stewardess just started laughing. We were there for like 25 minutes, and then the stewardess, I gave her the look, and she called the pilot, and she's like, "Did they get the band-aids yet?" And then me and all the stewardess just started laughing because I was sitting right in the front seat.
That's that's comedy. Well, I'm glad you're safe. Glad you're home. Thank you for joining me today. I don't know if you followed these series or not as of late, but I basically just started a series where I'm interviewing some of my favorite artists and just kind of talking about the house music lifestyle and culture and talking ups and downs experiences and just trying to bring awareness to a overall healthy mindset while we follow our passion in music. So you're definitely an artist that I respect and love, and I just love what you do. You have an eclectic lifestyle, and you bring a lot of texture to our community. And I just wanted to get you on for a few minutes of your day and just have you share some of your life experiences, what you're up to, and just kind of go from there.
Sure, sure.
Right on, right on. So why don't we start off with how long you've been in the community, how you got started. I know you and I have talked many times before about your upbringing in New York and so on and so forth, and I think that's a pretty awesome story to share with respect to the early rave scene in New York. Why don't you start us off at that point in time?
Oh, geez, man. When I was like, I had to be like sixth grade, and it was like the end of sixth grade, and this record shop opened by my house in Queens, and my buddy Paul and me, we were riding our bikes by and stopped. I was like, "Oh, you guys open a record store?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You into music?" I was like, "I love music." I was like, "Could we hang out? Could we, when is it open?" He's like, "Well, if you guys like music so much, you want a job?" And I was like, sure. He's like, all right, go get your mom because we want her to approve this. We don't want some kid hanging out with two weird guys, and getting creepy. So my mom walked down me and she's like, you want him, take him. I'm good. Go ahead. He's a pain in my ass. So I started out in this record shop, and they were a dance music shop called V and V Music Factory. It was two brothers named Vinny, two Italian brothers named Vinny. I don't know how their mothers got told them apart. They'd be like, Vinny, and they'd both turn around. But they were great guys, and I priced records, and I learned how to promote. They'd give me like a stack of flyers, and they'd be like, "Ride your bike to this parking lot and put them out on all the cars." So I was like trained at an early age, to be like a promoter. And it was like '91, and I've been there for like a couple of years, maybe 3 years at the record shop. And these guys that came in there with DJs like, "Hey Dan, man, you should go out with us." And I was like, "Sure, I'd go out with you guys." They're like, "All right, listen, if you're gonna sneak out, meet us here at this corner at midnight, and we'll take you." And I did. And It's probably the most amazing night of my life. You know, I went to this warehouse party in Brooklyn, and I didn't know anybody. I just knew the three dudes I was with who happened to be with a company called 9 Volt, and 9 Volt threw all like the outlaw parties in New York, the Renzoni Factory, and like outdoors in Flushing Meadow Park. They did some of the after parties for some huge events, and they kind of took me on and adopted me. I was like their adopted raver kid, man. And my mother hated it because I'd sneak out all the time. She tried to nail the windows shut, you know. She tried to lock every door, and I became like Houdini. So, you know, I got really addicted to going out to parties, you know, and I became more and more involved in the scene, you know. Like I started handing out flyers, and I'd stand outside the club all night handing out flyers to get into this next club, and then I meet this promoter, and I meet that promoter, and you know, next thing you know, like everybody knew me, and I was like that guy, you know. Like they're like, "Hey Dan, you want to promote for our party?" Like, "Hey Dan, you want to do this?" And I collected records, you know. I had like this, you know, I have a massive stash of them on my wall over there. You've seen them, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it was like became my addiction. It was like music, and it really became what I wanted to do with my life, and I've been stuck on it since 1991.
Hell yeah. Was it then where you like decided like I want to do this full time and I have no other path to go down?
Oh yeah, no, I mean like I never wanted to do anything else. Once I saw like what it was, you know, I was already hooked. I always wanted to be in a band, and like I realized that like sometimes my head is way too big to work with five other guys with big heads. So I decided, you know, to go my own route. Now I'm a one man band, you know, so it's kind of like my life story, you know.
Tell us a little bit about your record label. What prompted you to start that? And
Fresh Farm Music. I was actually gonna quit the game. It was like 2015, I think, and like I was just sick of it. I felt like, you know, all this time that I put in, and it was like I was just drawing straws for like gigs, and I was putting out music that was on very small labels that never really did anything. And I started to feel like, you know, it wasn't worth it, you know. And I've been working with Oscar P. From open bar music for a long time. I was doing parties with him. I've known him forever. And I gave him my last track. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this. I was like, this is my last song. He's like, last song? He's like, dude, you're good at this. You know, he's like, you need to like stay focused. And he's like, how about, you know, we do a label together and you could be a little bit more hands on and you could pick artists and you could do something that makes you want to stay involved. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a lot of work. And yeah, I kind of went with it. We put it together, and it's gone. It's gone in an upward direction. You know, like Oscar, when I first started out, he told me, you know, it's about longevity. You know, like it's not about a quick fix. Nobody's an overnight sensation. Anybody that you see that's an overnight sensation, they took 10 years or 15 years of hard work every day to do it. And, you know, it's like a lot of people that get into this game, they end up like getting stressed out by, you know, the constant like beating your head against the wall and feel like you're getting nowhere. And I've always been a guy who weathered that well, you know, like that doesn't really bother me. Like I'm really good at beating dead horses and then bringing them back to life. So for me, it was like, it was no other way to live. And the label's done much better. You know, right now we have I just released a song on Fresh Farm that's in the number 3 on the Essentials chart for Minimal D-Tech on Traxsource. It also made the Hype chart. It's 76 on the Hype chart overall for Traxsource. I was just did a song that made Beatport. It was like number 5 on the short list for Jack and House and number 7 for the best new Jack and House of February. So I mean, like it the longer and longer I do it, the more and more the distributors see that, you know, records are selling, that things are going. So finally, it's like it has its own momentum now, and that's a precious thing.
were you producing music long before you started your label?
Oh yeah, man. I was like a nerd. You know, they're the studio in Whitestone, Queens that you know, all like my crew kind of worked out of, and I was always that guy sitting there like, nice, do this, it sound like this, and you know, it was we'd have like synthesizers and shit, and I'm like, nice, paint, paint, you know, and I'd make techno, but I never really got anywhere with it. I had, you know, my first original DAW was Sony Music Generator. I don't know if you know that or you ever had.
I never used it, but you recall hearing about it.
Oh man, it was like something for I believe it was PlayStation, like early PlayStation when like PS1 first came out, and my mind was blown. It was like maybe 97, 97, 98. This thing came out, and you could like make beats on Sony PlayStation. I was hooked, you know. I was like, man, I want to do this all the time. And then you'd meet people that were doing it, and like I just never had bread for a computer at that time. In the 90s, like I just couldn't afford a computer, so I'd sit there on my PS1 at like, and I was like, yeah, this is so sick. God,
Do
sounds so goofy now.
do you think that, like, for someone that's just getting started, do you think that they should, if they want to get into production, do you think they should DJ for a while to kind of learn, like, just the music and the culture, or do you, like, what do you think is a good starting path to get into house music, DJ or production, or both?
Yeah, I think, first what you should do is listen. Go back to the classics, like find out, read, do like, a search on like what music built it. Start with disco, start with funk, start with like these old styles of music that all were put together to make this sound. You got to go back to old James Brown breaks. You got to go back to old funky soulful disco. Then you got to get into that like electro, like Africa Bambaataa type stuff, and work your way up. Like sometimes you look at it like, oh, that's just old. It's old music, but that's what started it all, and it's slowly progressed over the last 30, 40 years into what we have now, which is basically bleeps and blips to tech house.
Yeah. You make your own loops too, correct? And all.
Yeah, I make loop packs for Native Instruments. I'm coming out with another one. We actually have a pitch for loop masters that I'm trying to finish because they require such a larger content. But I'm almost here. I think I have enough content for that. But yeah, I have another pack coming out soon on nativeinstrumentsounds.com, and I really enjoy making loops. Uh, it's like I can sit there and just play drums all day and just cut
Yeah.
the drums up and be like, all right, cool, let's put this in this pack, and then people use it. And people come back to you like, hey man, that was a cool loop you made.
You also for young producers as well.
Yeah, I teach classes. I have like a bit because I was never like a musically trained guy. It took me a long time of learning music theory to make it easier for someone who doesn't know music theory, because Ableton Live is an amazing program that gives you so many options if you're not musically inclined to make well constructed songs. Everything has certain keys that you can use on different synthesizers and different onboard VSTs that come with Ableton. So I mean, once you get around the little bit of the learning curve, anybody can do it.
I've been in the game for about 20 years DJing, and I have zero music theory education, and that's one thing that is on my list to like start getting into and jumping into, and just really learning the basic fundamentals of music theory. But since I've started, only been using my ear and heart, just feeling the music, and really just going from by that. And I started dipping into production. I got a couple tracks, one's released and one's pending release right now, and looking forward to getting back into production. But I think learning music theory is definitely a critical key to advancing in that direction.
I think like the thing about like music theory, if you're a DJ and you use things like mixed in key, you can start to kind of get your head around what stuff works together and what keys work together, because that's really all it is. It's like it's just knowing what things come together like this, and then you start to like spread it out over the length of a song. Like I used to think it was like doing like math, like some sort of crazy
Right.
science project. And when I've done it long enough that now I just realize it's really simple. There's only seven notes in any progression. And most of the time you're only using three. So it's like it becomes a simple thing. There's only seven notes you can use.
That is true. That is true. And I know before the pandemic, you and I last saw each other at Burning Man. We played an awesome show at your camp. Are you going to continue going out to Burning Man and running a camp and performing out there?
Oh yeah, I've been with Spanky's Wine Bar since 2009, and we have a bigger, badder system this year. We're coming with a lot more bells and whistles. Our crew really kicked some ass at the Rogue Bird this year, so we're
Oh yeah.
really coming guns blazing, guns
How
blazing.
was the Rogue Burn compared to the previous formal attend burn?
Well, it's like it was a different type of crowd. It was a lot more people that like had never been able to like either afford it or had gone. They just went out there, and it was very much like the old style. I was not there because I went to do a different event in Mendocino County, is that where it was? Called something else. It's a bunch of SF burners, and that was freaking amazing. I had such a good time up there. But my camp stayed together. I actually flew from Mendocino to Reno right afterwards, and linked up in my camp, and we're already starting plans for this year.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. In like the span of the last 25, 30 years that you've been in the music, what have been some of the largest challenges that you've overcome? I know there's like a lot of long days, long nights, just the party weekends and so on and so forth. How have you overcome your challenges and coped with those types of stresses?
Uh, First thing I'll say is kids don't do drugs. That's my first thing on any list. If I'm gonna say anything is, especially when you're touring and you're out all the time, you learn that you just can't. You can't do it. You can't like get whacked out all night long and then try to get up for an airplane, and then you go up in the airplane, your brain's gonna burst because you're all hungover. You've been doing party supplies all night, and you're congested. It's the same. Plus, like nowadays, I meditate a lot. I get to a hotel. I spend a lot of time where I'm just sitting there. Like people are like, "You okay?" They come up, pat me on the shoulder, "Hey, buddy, you all right?" And I'm just like this. I'm like, "No, cool." I'm just waiting. Like I try not to waste energy. If I'm doing stuff on the road, and I want to really compose myself because I want to be able to give all that energy to my
Yeah,
audience. Like that's for them.
you're
So
definitely in your performances, and I value that about your art. That's good insight though. Like I've interviewed a couple artists thus far, and meditation has been uh, discussed previously, and it's something I've tapped into recently over the last couple months, and I'm starting to understand it a little bit more, and I want to get to a point where I can do it for like a full half hour, like 30 minutes straight without opening my
oh,
eyes and getting
oh man.
distracted.
Yeah,
I'm
it's like
only,
start with small increments. I say like a really quick thing about meditation. There's tons of apps for your phone, and one really good one is called Insight Timer. And Insight Timer gives you like, man, they got like 150,000 different guided meditations, and they go from 2 minutes to 30 minutes. And it's a lot easier when you're starting out to like do a guided meditation because our mind has been how do you say it we've been domesticated for so long with all the crap that goes on in the world, and to remove yourself from these like words and actions and judgments that we have taken on in our life as a human due to things that are outside of us. Like they're outside of us. It's all out here. And we take it all inside. We internalize things. So the moment you start trying to meditate, in the beginning, you can't sit in your own skin because your mind is not trained to sit that way and to feel that way. The feelings come out, the thoughts take over, and they ricochet around your mind. And when you do a guided meditation, it takes off some of that stress for you at the beginning, and then next thing you know, they start getting longer and longer. You start being able to like sit in your own skin, and that's what meditation really does. It brings you back to center. And I like to be in the present. That's what keeps everything together.
hell yeah, hell yeah. No, I appreciate that insight, man. And kind of looking back through the pandemic and knowing that you've been in music pretty much your whole life, how was that most impactful to you, considering you couldn't travel and basically all the major events were canceled and so on and so forth? Did you have a thought of having to change your direction, or did you just power through it and just keep that mindset in front, positive and just keep pushing forward?
Honestly, the pandemic was probably the greatest thing that ever happened to certain people. Like some people came out of the pandemic basket cases. Some people came out of the pandemic jacked because they worked out the whole time. I came out a monk. I came out this like
That's
monk and like music guru. Like I literally sat there and did nothing but like work on production, really tighten up the production. I made sure like that due that we were in the pandemic, it was hard to like try to sell records or to try to push things because what do? You go on Facebook and it's like, hey bro, check me out. I'm a cool guy. I got this song. Hey man, buy it. And it was like that's not really what it's about. And I work to nurture my relationships with my DJs, my friends, and make sure that every day I sent out a bunch of messages to a bunch of people. Even if it was about nothing. It had nothing to do with music or anything. Like, hey, DJ Steve, you doing all right? I know it's hard for all of us. And I work to build my community tighter, because nowadays it's not about, oh, look at me, I'm cool, buy my record. It's like you have to really cultivate and work on what actual connections you have and the people that are important to you and the people that you want to keep inviting back or the people that keep inviting you back. You know, Being a DJ is all about return business. Like you're gonna get booked over and over again with that person. Just like don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. Be kind to everybody around you. Do nothing but your best job every time you go. When you show up, fucking floor it. And that's what I learned. And by being in the pandemic, I learned to make my music better. I learned to be a better person. I learned to be kinder to myself and to those around me because that was all we had at that moment, and now
that's
that
amazing.
life has changed for us and things are opening back up, it's different.
I saw you a little bit of comedy too. You want to talk about that a little bit? You did a couple live shows.
I've done quite a few in Los Angeles. I moved to LA, and the first like couple weeks I was here, I went to the Comedy Store, and I was just passing by, and I was like, "Oh, it's the Comedy Store, This is where Pauly Shore and all them, all these people got their starts, And I went up to the wall, and Bob Saget's name was on the wall, and there was like a little bit of space, and I stuck a Dirty Dan sticker underneath it. I took a picture. I was like, look at me, the funny guy with these funny guys. I swear to God, within 8 weeks of me doing that, I was cracking jokes somewhere, and this guy approached me. He's like, "Hey man, you're kind of funny. Do you want to do some stand-up comedy?" And I was just laughing. I was like, "Hey, whatever." And he's like, "Cool, we'll book you at the Belly Room at the comedy store." And I'm like, freaking weird. And sure enough, I've opened for Michael Yo. Geez, I've opened for a few great comedians, over time, and I've done smaller shows. I do the dojo a lot, and I've only done one show since I got back with a bunch of guys from BET. And it was really great. I had a good time. But things are pressing. Other things are pressing in my life. How I'm my self care is more important to me. Golf is a big thing in my life. I really try to like do things that are like keep me right here in the now. I don't think about what's gonna come. I don't think about this next record I'm around. I don't think about anything like that. Just right now, what's going on with Dan right now? Right now, I feel good. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm alive. I'm here with you. We're chatting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I feel like golf too every once in a while, but it's getting better. Going to be out there quite a bit more.
I'm like heavily addicted to it. I have like a walk-in closet with about 100 golf shirts. I have like golf pants. I have golf socks. I have golf hats. I have golf bookends. I have I have everything. It's ridiculous. I have golf posters all over the wall. I have my Caddyshack guys hanging out, fucking Shooter McGavin, Like I'm like really nerd about it, Like it was pouring rain when I got off the plane in Burbank, and I called my buddy. I was like, "Hey, you want to play golf?" He's like, "What are you crazy? It's raining. There's gonna be no golf." As soon as the sun came out, I'm driving past the golf course. I went over, and then I was the only person out there. The golf course was closed. The city course was closed, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going out there." And I walk out there, and I see this other kid pull up, and he's getting his golf clubs out too. And I was like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Javier," and I'm like, "I'm Dan." He's like, "You ready?" He's like, "Let's do this." We
Oh
just
yeah.
played, walking through the mud, playing golf, like it's like the one thing that makes me feel like I'm there, like I'm there in that moment, me, this club, this ball. And I tell you, the more and more I play, the more and more I have inspiration. You know, it's like I go out there and I get into this mode and this zen. When I come home, I'm ready to make some beats. I'm ready to like do some work. I kind of like get up in the morning, I meditate, go out, play golf, come back home, do some paperwork, write a track, make an NFT, do something that's going to be beneficial to my financial situation as well as my life in general. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you see any parallels or similarities between golfing and music?
Oh yeah, like I'm gonna be honest. Like golf and music go hand in hand because if you're a musician, it's like you're used to doing things repetitiously, especially even as a DJ. You're like, it's like this note, this note, this note, this note, this note, this note. You have to practice all the time. And with golf, it's the same repetitions, it's the same hand grip, it's the same stance, it's the same lineup, it's the same pullback, it's the same swing. So when you're already accustomed to something that's repetitious, golf just becomes so easy because that's what it is all the time. And golf and music are the same kind of things. It's like it's a hit and miss thing. You might write a great track, you might hit a great shot, you might make a whack track, you might shoot the ball out into the rough. It's like they keeping yourself together. Both planes, like they just kind of come together. I think that's really what's been changing what I
Yeah.
do and who I am.
And you also mentioned a couple minutes ago too, like being in the moment. I think I can totally relate between golf and music. When you're on the green and you're playing golf, you have to really focus on using the ball and so on and so forth. And then also, when you're behind the decks, you have to focus on your music and the crowd and just living in that moment. So I definitely can relate to what you said about that.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like when I go on the golf course, I kind of try to drown out everything. It's just me and this ball, and I hit it. It's the same way when I get on the decks. Like there could be two people there, or there could be 1,000 people there, and I'm gonna do the same fucking thing that I'm doing on the golf course, and it's just me and the music. I feel like when I'm in the music, that's like the closest I am to what I consider to be God. That's that moment where me and God, we're like this, and He's like doing this to the audience. So.
That's are you still working with youth, the Safe Place for Youth?
Since the pandemic, I haven't gotten back into them. I actually have been doing I've been doing golf charity events for Shriners for the LAPD Youth Auxiliary. But things are opening back up. I've been doing a lot more stuff with like speaking and doing these like spiritual speaking things at like jails and rehabs and all kinds of stuff like that because I like to bring, you know, people to places where people aren't, you know, connected to stuff that I'm connected to and try to give them this feeling of like, you don't have to like take what circumstances have been given to you because believe me, I've beaten all odds, over and over again. And I like to try to bring the message of a peaceful universe to everybody.
Yeah, you definitely you definitely have a great sense of showing love and just being compassionate to others. I've always seen that in you. I acknowledge you for that, and I appreciate the way you are with people and always being open, loving, and just being an overall cool guy, very approachable to everybody that comes up to you.
Thank you, man. It's like I don't really, I'm not there to be famous. I'm not there to be cool. I'm not there to be any of those things. I'm there to like, give people a good time. Like I think like a lot of people that if they're not into spirituality, they're into music, and if like music is their spirituality, I want to be able to give them 5 to 8 hours of release from
Sure.
remember these domesticated things that we have to deal with every day. And it's always been like that for everybody that is out there since dance music parties have begun.
Yeah, a couple minutes ago, you stated NFTs. Is that something new that you're getting into, and how far along that process are you, and where do you see yourself?
The NFT market is like the new thing. Zuckerberg's trying to say he's going to do Instagram NFTs and all this stuff. It's not going to work. Meta has the lockdown on this. It's basically like you're turning your music into a blockchain locked coin, like a digital coin, and then your art is an exclusive piece of artwork that one person owns the whole thing, and it's kind of like the fad right now. And what you're doing is you're making one song exclusive rights get sold to one person, and sometimes they make a couple of other versions that go. It's like the most amount of the tracks that come out is maybe 1,100, if even. I've only been doing like 101 releases, of the song, and it's kind of like Bitcoin, but like for the artist, you're receiving 80% of the royalties instead of a 50% split with the label, a 50% split with Beatport, and then all of a sudden you got Spotify pennies.
What got you interested in starting that?
I was approached by a gentleman from a company called Pianity, and he was like, "Hey man, you want to get in this NFT thing?" And I was like, "Sure." And he's like, "Make me an exclusive track." And then like the first track that I put out, I made more money than I'd ever made on all my music ever. And I was like, "Oh my god," like I think this is the future. I have a couple more that are coming out. I was approached by another company called Kluv, KLOOV, and they're from Barcelona. Their new site is dropping right now, so I had some like headhunters from them hit me up, and I want to be able to like make enough money off of what I love that gives me time to be helpful to other people. And if I could do that, I don't care about anything else. I'm not here to get rich. I'm not trying to. I never did this for the money. I never did this for fame. I just do it because I fucking love it. And I did it for free for forever, up until now where things are actually like moving. It's like where I go back to that longevity, like you're gonna fucking eat a lot of cocky before you get a good candy bar.
Right, man. That's so funny. I definitely admire your longevity, and you stay true to your art, and you need to push the envelope with your music, and just expanding love and community. And I just really appreciate everything that you do, the culture and our lifestyle. And I really appreciate you being here today. You have any last words for today? If you can leave someone inspired with something, if someone that's just getting into music or production, what could you offer them this afternoon?
I'm gonna tell you, never quit your daydream. If you got it in your heart, I heard an expression in a book once, that if you really want, like, it's actually a golf book. It's called Golf is Not a Game of Perfect. And the writer Bob Rotella, he's the psychiatrist to all the major golf stars. And he says, if you're a person that comes to me and you're 43 and you say to me, I want to be in the Masters tour, when I'm 50, and I never played golf before, but I want to do it. He says, I think you can do it. If you have what it takes to put in 8 to 15 years of work, dedication, all the time, practice doing this, you're going to do it. It's a guaranteed thing. You might not be the best, but you're going to get to where you want to go. And, I want to try to be an inflator instead of a shrinker. I don't want to like make somebody feel smaller. I want to make somebody feel bigger. So if you have a chance to help somebody before yourself, more will come to you by your sacrifice. And it sounds like it's stupid. It's like I should be me, 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 me. But the less you're me and the more you're about you or the
Oh,
next person, like the doors are open to the universe, man.
yeah, I like that. I like the quote that says, "Give it in slices, it comes back in loaves."
Exactly.
Very
Exactly.
so wise words, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you again so much for being here. Looking forward to catching up with you in person finally, real soon. And
Next time up there, next time you're down here, man, let me know.
right on, brother. You have a good one.
Cheers.
Thanks
Cheers.
everybody for joining.